On today's show, I had AI predict the next 5 seasons for the Washington Wizards. We're going to go through the results, and let's just say they are interesting.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you're locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. If you're not an everydayer already, come on, join the family, subscribe, follow us on all our socials, and join the club. Everyone that's been with us every single day throughout the summer, we appreciate you. We're getting closer and closer to Wizards basketball. I'm one of your co-hosts, Ben Strober. Cover all things DC sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. And alongside, as always, the DC sports content creating savant, that's Abdul Ayubi. Be sure to check him out. He is the host of the DMV Sports Zone page. AB, how we doing?
You meant AI as in Allen Iverson or artificial intelligence?
Yeah, I got an exclusive phone call with Allen Iverson.
Nah, this is going to be an exciting episode. I'm doing good. You know, NFL tomorrow. I know you guys hate me talking about my Commanders, but they want to know going into Green Bay. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one from Lambeau. We haven't won there since '88, so hopefully that changes tomorrow. Hopefully that changes for us tomorrow. But AB, you and I were young guys. Maybe some of our audience wouldn't even understand what we're talking about at this point with this artificial intelligence nonsense. It's taken over a lot of people's jobs. It's taken over the way people do schoolwork. You and I both graduated college, so we know firsthand that half of our peers probably only graduated because maybe you included. I won't tell Virginia Tech about that. But ChatGPT, man, it's got some crazy things. It's wrong all the time. And I said, why not? Why not give this a shot? And I saw our friend from the Locked On New Orleans Pelicans podcast, Jake Madison. I decided to take this idea from him because I saw it and I watched his episode. And I was like, you know what? It's actually some really interesting things you can take away from the AI here. And the results were really interesting. So we're going to get right into it. So the basis that I used for the AI, exactly what I told it to do, I said predict the next 5 years for the Washington Wizards as they currently go through this rebuild. I told it to predict records. I told it to make trades. I told it to sign free agents, draft players. I told it could do whatever it wants, be completely unbiased. The Wizards don't have to be good. The Wizards don't have to do anything. They can be terrible every single year of the rebuild. I'm going to do whatever the AI predicts here. So we're going to get right into it. It said it wanted to give a 5-year projection through the 2029-2030 season, and it explicitly relied on the current roster and money situation, reported trades that had happened throughout the summer, and then it would assume that the team's recent moves were to clear future cap space, which would play a role in the strategy that the AI used to predict the next 5 years or so. So, AB, before you find out the results,
for clarification, is this like ChatGPT? Is ChatGPT like the free version, or what version is this?
Yeah, I don't know. It's whatever one I have.
Nowadays, bro, there's so many different versions.
It's not 5.0 or whatever it is.
Gotcha.
But AB, since I have all the results, you haven't even touched this. This is more going to be me surprising you with the results. What do you predict the AI has down the road?
When it comes to like these next 5 years, like like win total or like in general?
Yeah, like what do you think is the overall prediction that you're going to get in the end here?
I'll just go with every other NBA fan out there and just say that they don't really view the Wizards highly like other non-Wizards fans. So I say maybe at most 24, 25 wins upcoming season, and maybe in 3 to 4 years I see us making a championship run. But just lay it on me, Ben. What does it say?
All right, year number 1, 2025-26 season. It's titled Transition with Veterans to Steady the Ship. Okay, so that's some allusion there to C.J. McCollum and Chris Middleton. There's one fatal flaw that the AI does project here as part of this analysis, but I'm going to give it to you. Projected record, 36-46 for the Washington Wizards per ChatGPT next year. And you and I can both agree right now, hopefully that's not the case, because that means the Wizards would probably not be picking in the first round next year. That would not be ideal given the scenario that they have right now. I'm going to tell you why it thinks they win 36 games. It says that they miss playoffs but are competing for a late play-in spot if people stay healthy. ChatGPT says Washington's roster will remain young and experimental. Okay, I agree with that. That's going to be something we're going to see a lot. There are going to be a lot of lineup changes throughout the year. The team keeps a mix of veterans, short-term veterans like, here, this is where you're going to hear the main problem, C.J. McCollum and Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk got traded, okay? Kelly Olynyk is not part of the team, so ChatGPT, wrong. This is proof that you should not use AI to do all your schoolwork. But it says that these players like McCollum, and we're going to replace Middleton there for where it says Olynyk, are intended as stopgaps and mentors while young wings and bigs gain minutes. The front office prioritizes development and preserving cap flexibility for 2026. Well, I do agree with the premises that the team is going to be experimenting a lot with the lineups, and these veterans are going to be simply here as a piece that is used to help teach the tricks of the trade to a lot of these young guys. But 36 wins is insane. I think if they have a really strong season for their standard, they maybe get to 23 or 24 wins. 36 wins is absolutely ridiculous. That would probably set the franchise back unless Trey Johnson averages 30 points per game somehow in his rookie year. Bilal suddenly averages 25 points. And everyone turns into a juggernaut in one season. That would probably be actually really bad for the future outlook of this team, I think. They need to be a lottery-bound team next year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe AI is an optimistic Wizards fan. I mean, 36, bro. I was thinking at most, maybe 30 if a lot of things go right. But that is a lot of wins, and I'm intrigued to hear what they have next season, because if they think this upcoming season is 36, I mean, we're going to be contending in the playoffs, right, next year?
Yeah, so I'll get into that. But best player from the year in the rookie season of Trey Johnson. So it says that they project him as a primary creator, and he ends up leading the team in usage and becomes the clear offensive focal point. So that's interesting because I could totally see that happening eventually at some point in the season if C.J. McCollum is dealt at the deadline. Maybe if we do see some Trey Johnson point guard minutes in favor of Bub Carrington at some point throughout the year. That'd be something that'd be really interesting to look at. Will he have a super high usage offensively? I think he will. It won't be as high as it was at Texas in his freshman season in the SEC. But I don't think that's too far out of line, really.
Yeah, I think that's what we want to see, and that's probably the most realistic thing coming out of this first year that AI is predicting. I think Trey Johnson, we mentioned it, maybe that 15 to 20 game mark is where we'll really see him be more involved in this offense, because again, you have CJ McCollum here, and what Will Dawkins loves to do is make sure he maximizes the trade value for his veterans, and Trey Johnson has a legit shot at winning Rookie of the Year. I've been saying that before the draft, and now that he's a Wizard, I think he can definitely go up against the likes of Ace Bailey and Cooper Flag. It all depends on what his usage will be, and what we saw in Texas, amount of high volume shots that he was taking compared to what he's going to be dealt with Washington. He's definitely going to have a smaller role, but I'm hoping that he can definitely transition to being that guard that can shoot it from three, take the mid-range shot, facilitate. And with younger guys like Keyshawn, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, there's just so many mouths to feed, but I'm hoping that he can learn from them.
Another thing that it did mention is that Alex Sarr improves tremendously defensively, even though he already is a monster on defense. They have him becoming a 10-plus rebound per game guy with his rim presence. I like
the sound of that.
Yeah, I mean, I really like to hear him rebounding the basketball well. And it literally put in parentheses, these are realistic development arcs for the former lottery pick in year number 2. I really hope so. I do hope 10 rebounds is something that can become realistic and an expectation for a guy like Alex Sarr, because he needs to be much better on the glass, whether it's positioning or just his physicality. That's something that's going to have to be better in year number 2. Moving on to the 2026-27 season. So obviously the Wizards do not pick in the first round in that realm because they're not a lottery-bound team. Moving forward, year 2, cap summer choices, either star chase or draft first. Projected record 43-39, make the play-in tournament or low seed playoff berth. If the front office signs a mid-level star, see below. So they put for the Y section, the big decision point in the 2026 offseason is because the team structured contracts to open large amounts of cap space in the following summer, which we know is going to be around $100 million. This happened after the Jordan Poole trade. They face 2 credible paths they can go here. You spend max or near max on a top free agent, or use the cap to absorb contracts for additional picks or young talent. Now, I'm going with the second option. I think that's the more likely scenario. That's what I would want to see. I think we know the Wizards aren't going to go out there next summer and all of a sudden bring in some big star in free agency. I don't even have the list of guys that are going to be free agents next year. I think the class is going to be a little bit deeper in terms of free agent stars than it was in the previous season. But with that being said, that should not be the Wizards' long-term plan. I don't think you're going out there and trying to sign a star player next year. I think if we're being realistic here, the second option it gave out, which is potentially taking on some more bad contracts to require assets, I think that's the play for Washington.
I agree with you. It does make sense. I think bringing in a superstar. First of all, does a superstar want to come to DC right now? Maybe in a couple of years when we have attractive commodities, it wouldn't make sense because again, you bring in a big guy that could definitely hinder the development of a lot of these young guys. And like you mentioned, we want to bring in those vets to get those draft picks. Will Dawkins loves accumulating as much capital as he can, so that does make sense. You met what was it? You said 43 wins. That's
43 wins.
Man, again, like. This for the last time this Wizards team won, wait, have we've won 50 games before? It was a long time, or no, we haven't.
We haven't won 50 games since 1979.
Okay, so when we won the championship. Okay, so again with the days of John and Brad, I think the highest we got to
49.
Was like 49. Okay,
49 and 33 in 2017.
And then last time, okay, yeah. So maybe I think realistically the 2026, 2027 seasons when potentially we could hit that 30 win mark, 30 plus. I'm hoping. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe they get around 30 wins in the next season. 30 to 35 would be great. Ultimately, you want them to be much more competitive. They don't really have anything that hangs over their head that says that they need to be in this kind of ethical tank or whatever you want to call it in the next season. But one thing that is really pleasurable to see from the AI and the prediction is that Trey Johnson becomes an all-star caliber player in his second year, and he's unquestionably the best player on the team overall. That I think can totally happen, and I think ultimately that probably is what happens.
Will happen.
Yeah. So, a lot of praise for Trey Johnson from the AI, and just maybe ChatGPT knows some ball right there. That's why we focused yesterday on Trey Johnson, our episode So be sure to go check that out if you haven't, yesterday's episode. What if Trey Johnson becomes the cornerstone piece for this Washington Wizards team? At the end of the year, it says the key roster moves that are predicted: one mid-level trade to upgrade defensively, swap expiring veterans plus pick for young two-ways that could play off the wing, and then one rookie from the draft class that would come up in that year. And then potentially another big free agent signed because of the flexibility the team likely will have in the 2027 offseason. Says that it should set the team up to be very competitive in the following season. For drafting, it says that they choose development path. They could take a top 20 pick in the 2026 draft, or rather 2027, excuse me. Use that on defensive wing or forward. If they spent, the pick could remain in the late first round. So the caveat is the season hinges on the 2026 cap choices. So whatever decision they make in the offseason after the year upcoming right now will kind of dictate what happens for years to come. But I think if the Wizards play their cards right and they do the smart decision, it's probably they hold off on trying to spend any money in free agency for at least another year or two.
Did they say anything about Bilal?
Does not say anything about Bilal Coulibaly.
Oh, is that a sign?
I don't know if it's a sign of anything, but the AI they can't really get too specific and all that stuff. I think if I wanted it to give me every single player's stats for the year, it probably could have done that. Mm-hmm. But then this would become a even longer video. Speaking of that, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue to run through the predictions here from ChatGPT. Where are the Wizards going in the future? We're going to tell you on Locked On Wizards. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course, you just need a little extra push to get through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. So one thing that happens to me whenever I play golf, if I get onto the back 9 hole, 12 or 13, I am gassed. My swing isn't the same. My focus isn't there. And that's where 5-Hour Energy Transfusion really comes in and is able to save the day for me. One of my best rounds I ever shot, an 85. That's not really good to most people, but an 85 for me. I don't think it'll ever get much better than I can only thank 5-Hour Energy Transfusion for that day. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape ginger live flavor a 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the golf course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. Continuing to go through some of these AI predictions. We are in 2027-28. Year number 3. Either playoff depth or loaded with young talent is the title of this year. Projected record 47-35 with a projected 6 seed in the Eastern Conference with a very competitive first round series, possibly an upset. Now, AB, that's what the projected AI model has if the Wizards choose to be aggressive in the following offseason and they do draft well and they are able to acquire another star-level player in free agency. It does say if they are still building, it only predicts them to win 39 games at that point. So I think if we got to 2027 and the team was still below 500, I think Wizards fans would be really, really impatient to that point.
Yeah, no, there's no way we're still using the P word in 2027 because that's just unexcusable. I think this is the last year we'll give a justification card for losing, but I'm hoping that, honestly, that year I expect either one of the guys out of the 2024 draft class to be an all-star. Definitely by then, I expect Trey Johnson to be the best scorer on this team. And maybe they get a guy from the 2026 draft, DeBonza, Darren Peterson, Nathan Met, Boozer, a lot of options there. And I'm hoping by then that we see the key core here in Washington. We kind of see, glimpses every now and then, but there's still a lot of guys that need to take their strides. But by then we should figure out this is the guy, and these are the supporting cast around him.
So one thing that has been a constant throughout this AI model of the rebuild and continues throughout this year is that Trey Johnson continues to blossom into a star player for the Wizards according to this model in this season, the 2027-28 season. Predicted here, Trey Johnson is an all-NBA player. All-NBA list for Trey Johnson 3 years into his career according to ChatGPT. It's a bit bold. It's definitely a bit bold.
That is bold because that's year 3 for him. So, hey, I love that. Shout out to ChatGPT if we can see that happen. But that's huge expectations for our guy Trey. I'm hoping by year 3 he could be an all-star, but all NBA. That's something else. I mean, when's the last time? Was it John the last all NBA player that we've had?
Beal.
Okay, Beal made it, but he was like what, third?
Beal was third. Wall was also third.
Oh, okay.
So again, we haven't sniffed a second or first team.
Yeah, you're telling me Kyle Kuzma never made a second or first time check. But
what a snub.
Yeah, and I think Trey definitely, because there's so much potential and hype going into his rookie year that I expect him to take that stride. Year 3 being an all NBA, that's a lot of expectations. But out of all guys that we've seen come into DC, this is a guy that can definitely fulfill them.
So now with the Wizards ultimately making a 6 seed in the playoffs according to the AI if they choose to be aggressive in this season, it says expect the Wizards to be aggressive and in a win-now mode and make rotation tweaks. So the Wizards would trade a veteran expiring for a high-quality 3-and-D wing mid-season to improve spacing. So I'm not sure if this is factoring Keyshawn George part of the equation because I feel like he could be a fantastic 3-and-D level player for this team come that time. Bilal, if he's able to develop that jump shot, could also be in that role. But Keyshawn is a guy that I think you could have a lot of confidence going forward for the future that he could be a 3-and-D level player that either comes off your bench or starts in that role for this team. I'm not sure if the AI is even accounting for that in this situation, but it does have the Wizards being aggressive, signing short deals to maintain cost control, and possibly re-signing their own young pieces on reasonable extensions, including Alex Sarr, Trey Johnson, and then also Bilal Coulibaly, according to this as well. So this would be a couple of years after Bilal's rookie deal is already done. So I guess it's anticipated that Bilal is brought back and then extended again. So that's interesting.
That's some type of prediction right there.
I don't know if the AI is kind of just getting confused by looking through who's on the roster and stuff like that, but you never know. Maybe the AI has some sort of vision for what happens with Coulibaly in the future here by that point he would be like 5 or 6 years into his career at that point.
Yeah. And going back to the 3-and-D, I'm hoping Keyshawn George could be that guy, but maybe Will Riley, a guy that steps up and develops into that role. I think Cam Whitmore, if he can be consistent offensively and maybe defensively turn it up a notch, he can be that starting three that we've been talking about, taking Bilal's role. We'll just have to see because they're going to be battling each other out. That's a Cam battle that we've been talking about in a recent episode. So we'll just have to see how that pans out. But I'm excited, Ben. I think this is awesome. You got AI doing this, and I'm hoping that the Trey Johnson thing is right because I'd love to see that come year 3.
Yeah, we got 3 years down, 2 years to go. We give you those final 2 of the AI Wizards experiment here on Locked On Wizards. 2028, year 4. The title of this one, AB, Result Season. Results from the rebuild.
We'll be, 25, Ben? 26? Hopefully I've gotten married by then.
Projected record, 49-33. So they still don't get to 50 wins in that year. They matched the same record from 2017. So wow, that was a 2016-2017 season as well. So that's 12 years after that year. They finally get back to a record of 49-33. Playoffs, including an appearance in the second round. So that's the same spot they got to in 2017. This is the year the investment shows return. If the team picked the aggressive path and the star plus young core gel, if the build path was chosen, then the team would be 44-38, pushing to make a play-in game and possibly win in the first round. However, I do feel like they would be much more aggressive at this point. We're talking 4 years down the road from right now. I think the Wizards are going to find out in the next year or so who really, from their young core, is going to be solidified, and they're going to try to find the ancillary pieces that fit into the timeline of making this team competitive, 3 to 4 years from now. So I feel like that prediction from the AI, I do expect them to be aggressive. I don't expect them to be as aggressive as it does predict in the next offseason, but a couple years down the road, I think you could totally see the Wizards make some really key moves to pair some guys alongside potential all-star players like Trey Johnson, like Alex Sarr, maybe Cam Whitmore in the future as well. I really do like some of the ideas that the AI has had here, and I'm not trying to gas it up or say any of this is fully realistic, but I think some of the the focal points that we've seen from the model make a lot of sense for what we see the Wizards could do, and it gives you maybe some optimism for how you could look at this timeline here.
I think by then, Ben, you want to make that Donovan Mitchell or Mikal Bridges trade type move when you want to get that guy that can put you over the hump, because in the Eastern Conference, like you mentioned, we have the Knicks, the Celtics, the Pistons. There's probably some teams right now that are on the bottom that could potentially make it to the top by then. So you want to, again, pair a guy like Trey Johnson with someone that will put you over the top, and who knows by then who that guy will be. But I like how you mentioned that AI did have some nice concepts about when it comes to when this team should be aggressive. And again, like you mentioned, not winning 50 games, it still hurts a little bit because we want to finally get rid of that knot. But at the end of the day, like, as long as the team is trying to be competitive, because the last time we went to a conference championship was 1979, right? So they have to break that streak within these 5 years, because I've been saying this whole episode, the P word will not hold that much value in that time.
So year number 5. So we wanted to see that 50-win season. We finally get it here. A contender with a young core matured is the title of the season. 52-30, the projected record for the Washington Wizards, an Eastern Conference playoff appearance with a 3 seed. So 52 wins and only the 3 seed must be a stacked Eastern Conference that year. Contention to play in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, wow, like finally. We get a prediction where we're in the Eastern Conference Finals. I will take that any day if that can actually happen at some point, because I've never seen this team play in the Eastern Conference Finals.
This is 2028, right?
We haven't seen them in the conference finals since '79. AB.
Yeah,
unbelievable. But it says that they stayed patient, they built via the draft, and they hit with a solid young core and were able to use some aggressive flexibility moves to find pieces that make sense alongside the young core. And they're able to make a deep playoff run as a result. Best player from this season, Trey Johnson continues to mature into a all-NBA wing, 2026 star podium player if they sign somebody from the free agent class. But he says by this year, one of the young core the young core is elite and also finds another dependable all-star player or other role players that fit into the timeline with the young core. So to me, that kind of makes a lot of sense, AB.
Yeah, at least we break the curse. We make the conference championship. We win 50-plus games. Now, winning a championship in itself we'll probably have to do another 5 years, Ben, when it comes to AI. But I'm hoping that some of this stuff, the concepts like I mentioned, is right. I want Trey Johnson to be that number one guy here in DC, that superstar, the all-star caliber player, and make sure that you get a key core around him, a 3-and-D guy, a center that can box out, get rebounds, become a defensive menace. And Bob Carrington being that point guard of the future, it's just a lot of things have to go right for this to happen. But with the guys that we have and the strides that they have taken this past year, and I'm hoping to more of it, I think we'll be just fine.
So here are the, in short, 5 things the AI lists as specific, realistic predictions. The pool for McCollum in a Linux-style move pays off strategically because of the financial flexibility they free up in terms of cap space in the 2026 offseason. Number 2, Trey Johnson becomes the franchise centerpiece. Hey, that alludes to what we talked about yesterday. What if it happens? Well, AI says that it's going to happen. He's going to be a player that averages over 25 points per game and is an on and off engine, according to ChatGPT. At least one win now external signing or one blockbuster deadline deal. I totally think this is a possibility if the team indeed finds who is solidified as its young core in the future. Number 4, the Wizards will be back as a legitimate playoff team by the 4th year, 2028. I sure hope so. I really, really hope so. I mean, ideally, you'd like to see it happen even earlier than that, but you never know.
Way earlier, please.
Well, it says legitimate playoff team. So I guess by legitimate, remember Will Dawkins said when he came to DC, they want to build a team that is competing for top seed in the Eastern Conference year in, year out. They don't want to be in the playoffs one year, not in it one year. They want to be a perpetual contender. So maybe that's kind of what the AI is alluding to here. And then the 5th one, they'll preserve cap flexibility in 2026 and either spend it on a top 10 free agent or use it to acquire trade assets or picks. So I feel like the latter is what we see there.
Yeah, no shortcuts. That's what Will Dawkins always talks about. He wants to make sure that he's not doing what the previous regimes did, which was, like you mentioned, make the playoffs one year, not make it the next, and just not being contender at all. So I like the plan, and I'm hoping it comes into fruition.
Here's something that the AI also offered at the end. It says how realistic it is. Here are the risks and wild cards. And this is interesting. I can actually appreciate this. The top one, ownership appetite. If ownership wants immediate results and spends big in 2026, that probably accelerates a playoff window, but reduces a long-term window and flexibility. Yeah, as we said, no shortcuts. We don't want to see this team fall into a meddled part of mediocrity that it was once in for a large portion of the 2010s or the late 2010s into the early 2020s. We do not want to see this organization get stuck in mediocrity again. So I am all out on that, AB.
When it comes to ownership, Ben, I know this is quick. I've talked about this in the past before, but if I'm Ted Leonsis, I know that Alex Ovechkin is going to retire soon and the Caps are going to be rebuilding. And I don't want both teams to be rebuilding at the same time. One of them has to be contending. And I think he's going to, in his mind, say, Will, like, if it's a year or two down the road and there's no improvement, like, what are we doing here, man?
Yeah. Another thing it mentions, injuries to young core, always the biggest variable. Yeah, that's an obvious one. If guys get hurt, then obviously that'll throw a huge wrench into your plan. But hopefully you see health for a lot of these guys. That's something that we've been preaching we need to see from a lot of different guys. Got to see everyone play adequate amount of minutes, be on the floor, be available. So that's going to be a big thing. And then the front office moves. A change in general manager or coach would shift the trajectories really quick. We might see a head coaching change at some point throughout this process if the Wizards do feel they need another coach to get them over the hump, if they feel like Brian Keefe does his job development-wise. But that's really a topic for another day. Overall, I'd say these predictions from the AI were relatively optimistic, but I don't hate a lot of what it said. I think it gave some pretty potentially realistic scenarios for this Wizards team. And, some of the ideas that have been presented, I think it's stealing a lot of information probably on the internet for what Will Dawkins has said, because a lot of it actually does align partially with what the vision has been set from this organization. So I do like to see that, and hopefully some of the things, including Trey Johnson becoming the cornerstone piece, hopefully that does become the reality for this situation.
Shout out AI. This was definitely a fun episode, Ben. One thing for sure is that at least they have confidence, or AI has confidence as much as we do with Trey Johnson, and I'm hoping that he becomes an all premier caliber player that we think he can be.
Absolutely. This was a fun one. If you guys want to go do it yourself, let us know the results. Just go into the ChatGPT, just ask it to do a 5-year Wizards prediction. You can have it customized to do whatever. If you want to get even more into the nitty-gritty than I did with player details and asking it to give you stats and splits for every player, I'm sure it probably could do that. Maybe we'll revisit this at some point and see how the AI predicted model turns out. Maybe we'll do an episode 5 years from now, AB, and we'll look back at these predictions. What if they were spot on? What if they were completely spot on? That would be crazy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be something.
But that'll do it for us today here on Locked On Wizards. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen. For your second, be sure to check out the Locked On NBA Top 100 because it is here right now. Voted on by the NBA hosts of the Locked On Podcast Network, the Top 100 was formed by experts that cover these teams and players every day. Find the full list on Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We're keeping it going here on Locked On Wizards 5 days a week. Be sure to subscribe and be an everydayer. If you have not already, follow us on all of our socials. Locked On Wizards on Twitter, Locked_On_Wizards on Instagram. You can check me out at Strover Sports, AB at the DMV Sports Zone page. Stick with us, Wizards Nation. We are out.